Hello and welcome to the Take It Offline podcast. My name is Mike Imgood, and today I'm joined by Mitch Plust and Ian Miller. Now, Mitch is a returning guest to the show. He has been on the show a couple of times whenever we did it in the audio format, but Ian, you're new to the show, so I wanted to give you a chance for some opening thoughts before we really dive into this.
No, Mike, I really just appreciate this opportunity, and I'm really hoping that this is a jumping off point for me.
To anyone who's watching this, they would probably think that's a pretty sincere comment that you just made, but me knowing sincere. You as well as I do,
you don't know me.
It's really laced with layers of sarcasm that you can't believe. But Mitch, how are you?
I'm doing good. I tried the wave and my hand disappeared with the virtual background, but
technology's not quite there yet, but we're all doing our best.
Yeah, I should track my hand.
So for those of you who are watching, you might be familiar with the podcast in its audio form whenever I had uploaded it to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those, well, not Spotify, but all those other podcasting platforms. But now we're doing a video form. We have updated technology and we can do this now.
And
so I'm planning on doing, what did you say?
And we're forced into doing it.
Well, I did not give Ian and Mitch much of a choice here. But we'll make it do. We're having fun. So what I'm going to be planning on doing is making episodes of the Take It Offline podcast and uploading them to YouTube, where we just talk about this, that, and the other for a period of time. And then I'm going to be uploading them to YouTube, and you can watch them there. Just keeping in mind that there will not be an audio version of the podcast. It will only be the video form. So today, the topic that I've chosen for us to talk about is movies and TV shows. So we've all been kind of stuck at home for quarantine for the past couple of months. So we've had a chance to kind of watch a lot of different things, Mitch and Ian. So today we're going to kind of talk about what we've been watching and give some recommendations on what some of the folks watching this podcast can enjoy. So with that, the first thing I wanted to dive into was, what's your favorite thing that you've watched since quarantine began? Mitch, we'll start with you.
Jumping right in. I just noticed that this background also is completely empty of people, so it's perfect for a movie during quarantine.
It is. There's nobody there.
All right, so the favorite thing I've watched, I'm going to do the cheater thing and say that I kind of have a tie. So I'll mention one and just talk about the other one. So the docuseries The Last Dance was one of the favorite things that I've watched. The 90s Bulls documentary, but it's primarily about Michael Jordan. I was watching that as it was coming out, and I felt like that was the one show this summer, or not summer, I guess, just this entire span of a few months that I constantly wanted to get to the next week just to binge watch it. And I felt really inspired by watching Jordan to just be better at everything. But the one that I figured I'd really throw out there is a show called Occupied. And I know I've mentioned it to you, Mike. Have you heard of it, Ian?
I have not.
It's a Netflix show, and it is basically a political thriller that it does pretty much everything perfectly for a political thriller, and it's a lot better than a lot of the other ones that I've watched. So again, it's called Occupied, and it's about Russia slowly occupying Norway. So it's a Norwegian show. Most of it is subtitled. But everything that happens in it is based on real things that have happened. And you slowly just start to see this progression of this country become occupied. And it's eye-opening, and like every episode is riveting. It's really exciting.
So is that just like, what is it, like just its own mini series, or is that like a full, like, is it going to be like multiple series or seasons long?
There's 3 seasons, but it's only like 26 episodes or so.
Okay.
Like 44 minutes each. So it's very doable, especially when you're stuck at home.
Right. That sounds really interesting. I did want to touch on the Last Dance that you brought up too. I also watched that. And Ian, did you get a chance to watch that one yet?
I have had it recorded since they released the last episode, and I haven't watched it yet.
It's
No
So I
spoilers.
watched.
I don't know who won the championship.
Oh, because there's no way of knowing that.
Exactly. No way
Right.
of knowing. My internet went down.
Like, no way of knowing who won the NBA championship at all during the '90s. That's correct.
I just
Um,
assumed there weren't any.
right. Mitch, to your point though, it was really good, and I kind of felt the same thing that you did about the motivation aspect, where Michael Jordan just did whatever was within his power to be the best that he could be, and it really does kind of inspire you to do that. And for me, it also kind of put those LeBron Michael Jordan debates to bed. Um, it's Michael Jordan hands down after
Yeah.
watching that, until they make a LeBron documentary and I change my mind.
Yeah, well, that's called Space Jam too.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Mitch. What about you, Ian? What's the favorite thing that you've watched?
Honestly, I've watched so much stuff and I like so much of it, but I have to say Avatar, The Last Airbender. It's by far the best thing I've watched in quarantine. I've gotten through the series twice already. And, you know, it's so funny because I watched this show and I think back to when I watched it as a kid, and it hits differently today, but like when I remember all of these episodes. And so it's not only nostalgic, but like the show is just that good. There's so many episodes that just like hit home.
I completely agree. I have also watched it, and I think, Mitch, you're still in the middle of watching it.
I have like 5 episodes left. For the first time, I couldn't get into it when I was younger, so
Yeah.
I'm trying it now.
So what are you thinking of it, having watched it for the first time?
I thought the beginning of it was a little bit rough to get into because it wasn't as developed or polished as it is like starting the end of the first season. But it's very good from then on, and I feel like there's a lot of points in it that because it is a children's show, I feel like there's a lot of relevant ideas in it that people still need to learn. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree. And for those of you watching, season 2, episode 2 is the best episode of the entire series. So do yourself a favor. If you don't watch any of the other episodes, make sure that you watch that one. It is the best one.
One of the best.
The best one. Right, Mitch?
I like other ones more, but
Okay,
it's good.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, it's fine when Mitch has an opinion.
Right, you know how this works.
Well,
I do.
my name isn't calling the host of the show the worst either. So
That's fair. Mitch has a point then.
Fair point.
Um,
Mike is the worst, though.
so, Ian, whenever we made these categories, I anticipated that you were going to say Avatar was what you called out as being your favorite thing.
I figured you would. We've been talking about it. It seems nonstop.
It is also my favorite thing that I've watched since it came onto Netflix last month or 2 months ago. So I chose a different show that I was watching on Apple TV. It's called The Morning Show. It has Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, and Reese Witherspoon in it. It's basically a show about like the behind the scenes or like the goings on of like a morning news show, similar to like the Today Show. But it's a thrilling drama. There's definitely plot, holes throughout the whole thing that you can kind of, if you've watched any show, you can kind of point them out. But something I really enjoyed was just how ridiculous the show ended up being. So if you have Apple TV Plus, that's Apple TV or whatever, it is definitely a show worth watching. Have either of you seen it?
I've heard really good things about it. My sister recently watched it, and she said that Steve Carell has become one of her favorite actors because she watched The Morning Show, and she's actually watching through The Office again, and she recently is watching Space Force. And I think just her watching all 3 of those around the same time kind of shows you how he can immerse himself in a role in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard really good things about it.
No, he's great. Definitely worth a watch. So with that, let's jump on to what is the most disappointing thing that you've watched over the quarantine? Ian, we'll start with you on this one.
This one's rough for me because I personally don't feel like I watch bad things. But I mean, that's also my opinion. I'd probably have to go with something like Iron Man 2. I did watch through the whole MCU saga from start to finish. I didn't want to skip any, even though some of them don't really have any factor to the end goal.
So, just to be clear, you watched all of the MCU, and Iron Man 2 is your least favorite one of all of them.
Yeah, it kind of sticks out. That's my least favorite one.
So Iron Man 2 is your least favorite when Iron Man 3 also exists.
No, you know what? I just now forgot about Iron Man 3 and realized I don't like that one as well. And Dark World. Those ones they're rough to get through.
I'm a Dark World defender. I like that one, actually.
I prefer the synopsis that Thor gave in Endgame over the Dark World movie.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true. And despite how bad Iron Man 3 is, it broke $1 billion at the box office.
Well, it has the name Marvel on it.
I was going to say, Mitch, that kind of just goes to show that you don't have to be good to make a lot of money. Take that as your life lesson.
Thanks, Avatar.
So, Mitch, what about you? What's the most disappointing thing that you've watched?
So mine, the show itself, I wouldn't say is that disappointing. It's just everything that came after it. My answer is Tiger King.
Wow.
I got so sick of hearing about this show. And like in quarantine, I feel like at the beginning of it, everyone was kind of playing Jackbox games on the weekends. And no matter what game you play, there's a Joe Exotic or Carol Baskin joke. And it almost it's to the point where like you're expected to use that as your punchline and you're expected to laugh at it. And I just got so tired of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily the show, but just, again, everything that came after it and what it was actually distracting from.
So did you watch it like as soon as it came out? Or did you wait a bit to watch it?
I think I was talking to you when you were watching it. So I probably waited like a couple of weeks, which for that show felt like eternity because everyone was talking about it.
I think maybe go ahead, Ian.
Forced into watching it because of social media. That was one of those shows where like it was not dying down. I was like, I'll watch it eventually and this will die down. But the social media kept up and like it kept going for like a month, 2 months after the show.
See, my thing is, I'm not even on social media, and I saw all of that.
Oh man, it was the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that definitely played into. I could definitely see how it was overexposed. I think for me, I did watch it immediately when it came out because I think like a day had passed and I kept seeing all of this hype around it, and I was like, well, I'll just jump on that hype right now just so I can kind of get a feel for what it is. And it is a quick watch. Like I don't feel like it's that long to watch, but it really makes you feel bad about yourself as a human being after you watch it.
We watched it in one day. we had a rainy Saturday. We started at like 9 a.m. and yeah, towards the end of the show, it was kind of like, what is happening with these people?
Like every person in that show is just a terrible human being.
All of them. They are all human beings. Real quick question. Did Carol Baskin kill her husband?
Is that for me?
For the both of you. Just kind of getting a feel for that.
I would say yes.
I think she knows something at the very least, but I also recognize that it is a docu-series and it paints something a certain way. I know there was that one forensic, I forget what, but someone came out and watched the show and they were like, yeah, she's totally lying about everything. I feel like there's something sketchy there, but I also feel like that's only like surface level of all the sketchy things that happened in that show.
Yeah.
Mitch, it's funny you said something about referencing Tiger King because I almost the first thing I said when Mike asked me, I was gonna say, "Hey, all you cool cats and kittens."
You could have done it.
Yeah, that was the thing to do for like a month and a half.
And then as soon as someone says that in your mind, you just hear that bitch, Carol Baskin.
All right. So if looking at what my most disappointing show was, definitely The Last Airbender, the movie.
So it was your favorite and your least favorite.
And not only is The Last Airbender, the movie, the worst thing I've watched, or the most disappointing thing I've watched over the quarantine, it might be the worst movie I've ever seen. I had a semblance of what the plot was going to be because I had watched the show. And
Did his audio go out for you, Ian?
Yeah, you cut out for like the whole thing you were talking, that whole time you were talking.
Okay. So what did you hear me say last?
Just getting into the movie.
You literally
Okay.
started talking about it and it went mute.
When your hands went like this, it just disappeared. Or
All right, we'll try this again. I'll get back into the hands position.
Yeah, you got to frame it perfectly. You
Is
can't
that-
have any jump cuts or anything.
Like that? Oh, we're
A
not
little
cutting
lower,
this.
a little lower.
Right there? Okay.
Perfect.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah,
Last Airbender, the movie. So how's that? Is that good?
it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, just say cut
Okay. So
or include all of this.
I'm going to include all of it just for fun. You know, it's not like we're professional podcasters here. We're just having a good time.
I mean, you're not.
Wow. Okay. Last Airbender. It was awful.
Living up to your name,
it was,
Ian.
It was so bad. Because I had a semblance of what the plot was for the TV show, right? And I watched that movie knowing what the plot was supposed to be, and I couldn't follow what the plot of the movie was. So I can't imagine someone having no idea what the plot of the TV show was, trying to watch that movie and trying to pick up on what was going on. Mitch, I know that you'll appreciate this, that they adopted the tell, don't show mentality throughout that entire movie, where it was just
It's tried
saying
and
what was
true.
happening.
Tried and true.
Right, that's the best way to have a movie go down. But yeah, I feel like that was at least 50% of the movie was they didn't have time to show you everything, so they would just say it.
You know,
it was
Mike,
awful.
it's funny you hate that so much because I literally watched 8 minutes of the show or of the movie and I had to turn it off. And now it is stuck on my continue watching list on Netflix. And I'm torn between just leaving Netflix run silently so that the movie goes away and or not giving Netflix the credit for having it up there. Not giving it one more view.
Ian, I'm about to make your day, but Netflix just announced that they are going to have an option to remove things from your continue watching list.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
That sounds like a great idea.
You no longer have to stare at it every time you log in.
Okay, I'm not gonna watch it then.
Don't do what I did. Don't give them the satisfaction of watching
I don't know
it.
why you even watched it.
I
You
had
knew
never
how
seen
bad
it
was.
before.
5 minutes into it, you know how bad it is.
I thought maybe it was going to get better.
Oh man,
It
it
didn't.
did not. It got worse.
It did.
Isn't that the movie that like put M. Night Shyamalan in director jail? He had to start making low budget movies again because he made a giant failure.
Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about some recommendations. So let's give a recommendation for the viewers at home to watch if they are still stuck at home doing all of this. I'll go first on this one. So I'll kind of give a prerequisite here by saying if you have not seen Breaking Bad, that is what you should be watching. That is, no matter what situation, whether you're stuck at home or not, you should be watching Breaking Bad because it's the best show of all time.
At any point in life, you should
Right.
be watching Breaking Bad.
So I say that to then say that my recommendation would be Better Call Saul. That's something else that I've watched over the quarantine. I watched all 5 seasons of it. It's phenomenal. It's a show that just keeps getting better and better as you watch it. It follows one of the characters from Breaking Bad. So while you could probably enjoy it, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, it's probably more entertaining if you have seen it to kind of get some background on these characters.
I almost made that my favorite that I watched also. Like, their filmmaking ability and just writing is amazing.
Yeah.
Is Better Call Saul really that good? Because I've wanted to start it, but I just couldn't ever get into it.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It's a slow build up to getting to be really good. But it starts off like, I would say by the time it gets to like the 4th or the 5th season, it really feels like it's tying into that Breaking Bad style. Like it has like the elements of what made Breaking Bad really good. It has that in it.
I got you.
Yeah, this last season, I think it was season 5. Like, that is the level of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. One more season.
All right, I'll give it another shot.
Okay. All right, Mitch, let's go to you. What's your recommendation?
Okay. Mine, I'm going to preface it by saying I've been missing a little bit of sports, even though like football's not started yet, or it's not that time yet. I've actually watched a little bit of sports that's just streaming from like years past, and I put on a soccer match over this past weekend, and it was terrible. Like, no one was in the stands, and seeing a bunch of guys flop when someone like tickles their knee when there's no one in the stands is even worse. Like, women's soccer is better at that. But I'm segueing to, I found this thing through Last Week Tonight, which I know you watch that show, Mike. I don't know if you do, Ian.
Oh,
have you guys heard of Yelly's Marble Race?
Yes.
Yes.
I just started watching it like a week ago, and I'm not watching it like nonstop all the way through, but it is incredible. Like, the production and everything that they get into it is amazing.
So, isn't John Oliver producing it?
Yeah. He's making donations to charities for each marble team that wins every episode.
That's awesome.
For anyone that hasn't heard of it, it is as exciting, if not more exciting, than a lot of sports. And it's a bunch of different events for marbles. There's even like an Olympic opening ceremony where the teams come out, you see the names, they talk about like previous records. Every event is actually really fun to watch. And I was watching a racing one where one marble got knocked off the track, and they did a slow-mo instant replay, and they talked about like, oh, is there going to be a penalty? Is that going to set precedent for all these other racers out there? Like, the win is just hilarious.
That's funny.
Definitely recommend it.
I have not watched that yet. I did see the John Oliver episode, but I have not got a chance to watch that marble racing yet.
So it's all on YouTube for anyone that wants to check it out.
Ian, what about you?
I actually have two. One that was, people are, I think, starting to have been watching it for a while, but Schitt's Creek. I just started watching that, and I finished it up to season 5, what's on Netflix, and it's just funny enough, and their mannerisms in the show make it worth it to watch.
I think, what are the kids' names? David and Alexis?
Yeah.
They make that show really good.
Yeah, they're probably the two best characters.
Yeah. I think I watched like 2 or 3 seasons of it, and I liked it a lot. It was really funny. So I'm with you there.
It does get better, too, throughout those next couple seasons. But the other thing that I watched, and there's only a few episodes, is Middleditch and Schwartz. Have you guys seen that on Netflix?
I haven't watched it yet, so it's good.
It's really funny, and it's like an improv show that they take a story from the audience and just recreate that story with maybe 20 characters that they all play throughout the show.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been intrigued, but it's also one of those ones where it's like, I don't know if it's going to be good enough, but if you're recommending it, I'll try it at some point.
I thought it was funny. I like improv and that kind of stuff. But
Is it on the same level as I Think You Should Leave?
wait,
If it is, I probably won't watch it.
no, it's better than that. I Think You Should Leave is titled correctly. I should have left after the first episode.
I enjoyed it for what it was. All right. So last category that we're going to jump into here, now that we've talked about quite a few good and not so good shows and movies, what are you currently watching or excited to watch next? Ian, we'll start with you on this one.
I actually just started a show today. I've already watched it, but I started watching House of Cards again. And I'm probably only going to watch the first, 4 seasons, basically until he dies. Sorry to spoil it.
Well, you didn't say who he was, so.
Right.
I was
but I'm
about
also,
to add on to that and it would have
also
spoiled it.
excited for 2 series coming out, one on Amazon and one on Netflix. The Boys and Umbrella Academy, both phenomenal first seasons, and I can't wait to follow those up with some probably equivalent second seasons.
Umbrella Academy's on Netflix, right?
Yes, and The
Yeah.
Boys is on Amazon Prime.
Gotcha. I watched part of Umbrella Academy, but I didn't get around to finishing it. I began watching a lot of shows and ended up not finishing them. It's more of a me thing, not the show's fault. But what I watched of Umbrella Academy seemed pretty good. I have not seen The Boys, though. Mitch, have you seen either of those?
I've seen the first 2 or 3 episodes of The Boys. I've not seen Umbrella Academy.
They must be good enough to get second seasons, so.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Amazon Prime's TV shows aren't great. Like they have some really good ones, but it's very few and far between.
That's one that I thought was really good. Maybe it's because I'm into those superhero shows and movies that are coming out. But my brother-in-law had recommended both of those to me around the same time, and I kind of just powered through them. I thought they were really good.
Cool. What about you, Mitch?
So I just finished a few shows like Occupied. So something that I do want to get into is a show called Dark. You guys seen or heard of that?
That's on Netflix, right?
Yeah. So I think I showed you the bracket, Mike. Rotten Tomatoes actually had a Dark. And it's similar-ish to Stranger Things. All I really know is that I've seen the first episode like a year ago. Some kid in a town goes missing and the town kind of gathers around to try and find him. And there's kind of mystical sci-fi elements going on. But I know that the show tracks 4 families and it's more about them interacting with each other and how what they do impacts each other. So it's supposed to be like a pretty good character study with a huge sci-fi background to it. So it sounds right up my alley and I need to get into it.
Nice. Anything else from you two before I get into mine?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm currently, after watching and enjoying Avatar: The Last Airbender so much, I'm currently watching The Legend of Korra, which is a sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm full. What was that, Ian?
Spinoff.
It's a sequel series. It is a sequel series.
Oh, okay.
Having watched 3 seasons of it so far, I think it's definitely in the same vein as Avatar, but it's not the same show at all. But I'm enjoying that right now. But the 2 other things I was going to mention that I'm excited for, I just saw Hamilton came to Disney Plus. I have not yet. I went to see that when it came to Pittsburgh here last year. But I kind of am excited to see Lin-Manuel Miranda in the. Whenever I went to see it, he was not in the show, so I'm excited to see him in it whenever it's on Disney Plus. I've heard good things about it for people who have watched it so far. And then Mitch, I think you'll enjoy this one. This movie keeps getting pushed back in theaters. I don't know when it's actually going to come out or when we'll be able to go to theaters next.
I do want to see it.
But Tenet is going to be coming out at some point, and I'm very excited to see it.
Are you going to go when it comes out?
No, I will not. I'm not comfortable going to a movie theater yet, I don't think. But if it comes to on demand right away, which it won't because Chris Nolan wants to make money off of it, not just let it go
Yeah.
straight to on demand. But I will be very excited when I do get to finally watch it.
I'm really looking forward to it, and he was adamant that it comes out in July. He isn't Chris Nolan, but his contract for that one is tied into the box office. So like he will actually lose tens of millions of dollars if it does not open in theaters.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. But if it's a good movie, then we all get to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Ian, have you been plugged into that movie?
No, I actually haven't heard of it.
So it's a Chris Nolan movie, so you can kind of get a feel for the vibe that it's going to kind of give off based off of, the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception and all that. But I would imagine it's going to be a good movie because I don't think Chris Nolan does bad movies.
It's probably a fair statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does really good ones too.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that about wraps it up. So we're not going to delay this any longer. We made it through what we wanted to. So thank you again for joining. Again, my name is Mike Imgood, and until next time, I will see you later.